When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ludlow, and enjoy today's episode.
Now, is martial arts a big outlet for you? Are you like a triple black belt in anything over there? Like, do you train in martial arts?
Let's say I train in martial arts, various James, yeah.
Okay, let's just say. Watch out, boy. She knows how to use her hands as
I know, I'm
defensive tactics.
But I have to train. I did, of course, a lot of work all over the world that I cannot discuss, but that is, of course, you need to be fairly well trained for. I do a couple of various martial arts.
Gotcha. Have you won any trophies in martial arts at all? Like black belt trophies?
No, because for me, it was not about training for being in a ring and getting a prize. It was really a practical knowledge just to use for my work.
Okay. Well,
yeah. As you probably have seen, I don't like the spotlight. So I hardly ever I am on stage speaking or presenting or, I don't know why. It's just not me. I like to be in the back.
Well, tell us a story of something that you did in the industry. Let's say you were working with an organization and that you were able to help them save lives. Do you have any, like a recent story of something you really felt great about in the last year or so that they called you, reached out to you, and you're really able to make an impact in their organization? Anything you could share?
I can share about the rescue I did. I cannot mention names, of course, but it was a rescue in Libya from a mother and her daughter that were kidnapped. So I was in the team that went there and rescued them and brought them back to their country, England. That's what I did. And they, of course, were really grateful, but it was super dangerous and exhausting. But on the other hand, I also made like a whole forensic program for an organization that fights human trafficking and how that helps them to interview kids with trauma. Because what I saw overall over all these years, that when kids are being interviewed, it's not really interviewing, it's more an interrogation. And for young people or even people with a trauma, that is very threatening. So you don't really dare to say anything anymore. It requires really a certain technique and empathy almost to do that. Because I can give you, for instance, the sheet on how to do it or the questions, but some people just don't have that. They cannot make a connection with a kid or a bond. So I created a step-by-step program in where I help organizations who are in that field to interview those victims.
That's pretty fascinating. And then the family in England hired you to go down and get the mom and the daughter that were in danger. Did they get human trafficking from England and take him down to Africa? Is that kind of what happened, or?
That was not a human trafficking case, because that's what I said. I'm not only in human trafficking. So that was really a kidnapping case.
Wild.
Yeah.
People get kidnapped all around the world.
Oh, wow. Yes. It's crazy what's happening. Yeah. And before I was this deep in the industry, I never knew that it was that often.
For ransom, for retaliation, could be anything.
Yeah.
Wow. Dang. This has been a very powerful podcast. This has been my brain, because we've done a lot of podcasts with, CIA operatives and all that, but we're talking to Miranda, who's been human trafficked at the age of 19. And we've had many high profile guests on the show, but this one is special because Miranda is a personal friend of mine, and the audience is hearing your story of what you've gone through from at the age of 19 to now where you're at now, this leading organizations dealing with CEOs. It's like it just shows the audience you can do anything you put your mind to. You can overcome adversity if you put your mind to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just one example, of course. So, but there are many people who just had to keep going and build a life. There are a lot of stories from especially girls and especially in the US. So they're so brave. They just come out with a story, tell what has happened. They write books or start shelter homes or, yeah, it's amazing.
Do you have any book you're working on?
Everyone is asking me that. I will one day write a book.
One day?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not now. I mean, everyone is doing it.
That's true. Why do that? Everybody else is doing it. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah. And honestly, I don't have any time for it. And also because it's quite, I think it will become an emotional roller coaster when you have to go through your past again. As I said, I hardly ever speak about it because I just don't want to have that stamp like, oh, she's a victim and she went through that.
You don't want that attention.
No.
Gotcha.
No, not at all. No, I didn't work that hard and fought that hard just to only be seen as that girl from 40 years ago.
So true. Good point.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, yeah. So, I believe, I didn't do it alone. So
would you say most of your business is like word of mouth now, referral?
Yeah, always. Yeah, I've never done sales or marketing, to be honest. If I had to do that, I would probably not be here because I suck at it.
I suck at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't like to. It's a special skill and you have to do that. You have to say like, hey, what I have, nobody else does. And so, yeah. And it's just not me. I don't know why. It's just not me. And I like, the network that I have. So it works.
It worked. Yeah. If you, like Miranda and I were talking earlier, like a lot of these conferences that we go to, it's like, you don't really get business from. It's just, everybody's in the same, especially from the same pool, same river, same pond. And it really comes down to people that know you, trust you, that do business with you, that refer you. And that's word of mouth is probably the best, always will be the best form of business marketing for your brand.
Yeah, but it takes, of course, to know a lot of people. So in that sense, conferences are good. You can catch up with the people that you know also because they're often there. But yeah, just solely out of conferences, I've never got any work.
Wow.
It's just shaking hands and talk.
So it's about maintaining those relationships with people that know you, showing up, saying, hey, meet in person, let's go grab dinner. Okay, And I know you're good friends with many high-level people like, Mike Howard, former CSO of Microsoft. You're good friends with him. And
that's a good friend of mine. Yes.
I'm supposed to have him on the podcast, but it's interesting how he left Microsoft as chief security officer and, moved to Vegas with his wife. And now he's launched his book, Running Leadership. And he's like the guy's all over the place who read a bit of himself.
Actually, he has 2 books right now already.
Wow. I'm just impressed by his ability to pivot. It's just, I'm impressed by that because, he had a very impressive CIA background and then went to Microsoft, ran Microsoft security. And then now he pivoted again and reinvented himself. And now he's all over, doing his stocks and leadership. I think it's really cool.
And he's good at it.
Is it? I'm sure he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there are many. Yeah, I don't know how I got to know these people over the years. But yeah, I feel so blessed to have them in my life. They're really good people.
It seems like that. Yeah. I was supposed to have a podcast and I kind of know either it was COVID or something or the flu. I can't remember what, but I'm supposed to get him on the podcast to talk about what he's up to do a catch up. But it seems like a lot of high powered, big profile people. Miranda's type of personality, everybody loves Miranda. She just has that very, very humble, very real, and very honest, and a very giving personality. She likes to serve for people, serve serve her colleagues, serve her industry, and she's got a big heart for that. And I think people see that.
Yeah, I believe, the world is so messed up already. Just let's be kind to each other. There's so many people are struggling that you don't know nothing about. And if you are that one person who gave them that smile or that kind word, maybe it helped them in that day, and it was just maybe the thing that they needed. So yeah, for me, that's super important. And even to not nice people, I'm often nice. But yeah, as you know, I'm also not nice to not nice people when I have to.
Like you're not nice to some not nice people.
but rather not. Yeah, I just rather make a difference, and I just rather be like how I want to see someone, and I just think we all deserve a chance. The world is so big. There are so many jobs. There are so many opportunities. I despise ego. I despise gossip. I just don't understand what good it does to anyone. I mean, why can we not all work together? And if you don't like something from someone, why can't you just not say like, hey, I really don't feel good about this, that you did this to me or that person, or are you aware of what you're doing? I mean, but yeah, that's what I try. Sometimes there is no reasoning with some people, but I try.
And I think you are making a powerful impact on the world. I mean, the stuff that you do behind the scenes, that's where you thrive. That's where your superpower really is. And that's why your clients do that, because you're getting busier and busier every month. I mean, your workload, your requests are coming in. You're slammed right now. You weren't this busy 2 years ago when pandemic COVID, everybody's deader than a doornail.
No, thankfully I had some work because I worked for a humanitarian organization as well as a consultant. And they just, of course, fly all over the world and have to work because they have to go to crazy environments where the war is going on and where the camps are being set up for the refugees. So I worked with those people, trained them. So I had at least something to do, but it has been a very, very slow time overall. And I'm happy I'm back, going everywhere.
Did the last year really pick up for you after the pandemic? It just like the calls started coming in like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this year also, it's already a lot is planned. So yeah.
So your specialty, do you do a lot of webinars and stuff, Zoom calls or team calls? Is that kind of how that works for you? And then you're in Europe, is that kind of how you reach your community that you work with?
I do a lot of meetings and coachings, also because of clients over the phone or on Zoom, whatever they prefer. Sometimes I make online trainings for them, but oftentimes because I consult, I'm sort of an advisor. Oftentimes, I just sit in and see, have an overview of what's going on and try to guide them through that in the right direction. And oftentimes I'm there in person as well. As I said, I'm away from home at least 200 days out of the year. They fly me in everywhere. And I like the in-person meetings still better than, but I'm getting used to this now. Before COVID, this was not my thing at all. But I'm getting used to it, actually. I start to understand how that all works. But yeah, I like the in-person meetings better. It's more personal. I don't know why. It's,
I think you just have more success in person because you create that emotional connection. Except either as is GSX or OSAC or whatever conference you're attending, people see you face to face, they shake your hand, make you meet them over a glass of whatever you're drinking or a lunch or a dinner, and it just creates that connection. And then the connection creates that trust. And still, business is all about the trust.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
When I started, doing podcasts, this was so awkward for me. I'm naturally an introvert.
I'm an absolute introvert. That's why I don't like to be on stages or in the spotlights. Yeah.
But I this for the last 2 years, having the camera in my face and the microphone. It's just totally not my personality, but it's weird when you're doing something bigger than yourself. You just have to overcome those mental obstacles. Like
if you do it often enough, it becomes normal.
It does, yeah. Repetition. Michael Jordan.
It's all about repetition.
Repetition for you and repetition. Now you're good at it. I still don't know how to do a screenshot on my computer. I have no idea how to do that.
Google it.
Or YouTube it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Everything. You can find everything online right now.
Miranda, can you give me any advice to the ladies out there that want maybe do what you do, maybe Intel, or how do they maybe they just want to become an executive protection agent, because we have a lot of them that listen to the show. What's your advice to the industry, just to how to thrive in 2023?
Just go after what you want. It's oftentimes hard because it's not an easy industry. So that's what you have to realize. It's a lot of trainings, and you have to continue getting trained, get as much experience as you can. Believe in yourself. Just keep going. If it's really what you want, and especially in executive protection for ladies, there are not that many. So, once you're good enough, trained enough and ready for it, there's a lot of work out there. Be honest and be loyal and just work hard.
One thing the industry doesn't realize, especially working with royal families, there's a big demand for ladies, especially for the Middle East cultures, and even not just Middle East, but families that they prefer having ladies work for the kids. I think there's going to be a huge demand once everything starts opening up. It's starting to open up now, but once it gets more open than when
maybe that's another good thing that I want to give everyone. Yeah. Just learn about cultures and not learn it from a book or a movie. Just go there, just book a ticket, go there for a month, even if it is your holiday. If you really want that job, just go there, immerse in that culture, because you will never understand otherwise what's happening there.
That is really
every
nice.
culture is so different. Even the Western cultures, even like the US or Europe, you would say that we are Western countries, but we are so different in so many aspects. So really just, understand who the people are, what they are doing, why they are saying, or, things in a certain way, how they respond. Yeah, that's really important. Unless you just want to be local, of course, and stay stateside or within your city. I don't know. But yes, if you really want to be international and be fit, rest when you can, have a lot of fun times also, just to compensate for all the harsh times. Train, be physically fit. Yeah.
When I see a big burnout coming with the security industry or the EP industry, because when I was working for, let's say, a royal family in LA area, we'd go 2 months, 3 months straight without a day off. That's how it was. And we had no days off because they wanted to see the same faces because of the culture issue. That's how it is. And because of the pandemic, we really haven't seen that type of workload. And then they had a new crown prince that was sworn into Saudi Arabia. So that changed everything. And that's a totally different conversation about how everything works over there. But now that we're going to a new season, everything's opening up. I think we're going to see a huge demand in travel with like different royal families from all types of cultures. And the audience listening to this is, are you prepared? Like Miranda said, are you keeping physically fit? Are you healthy enough to have the stamina to withstand those kind of work demands? And that's
but also know who your client is. I always say, if you are not a runner, for instance, and your client runs every morning like 10K, are you physically able to do that? And what if there's a threat occurring during that run or at the end of the run and you are like out of breath? then you probably are not a good fit. And are you willing to carry bags? I mean, we talk about it for so many months now in the industry. All of a sudden, that is a thing. Do we carry a bag for someone or not? If you don't have a driver's license and, you know, your client is driving everywhere, but he wants to drive himself and wants you to sit next to him, what if that person is not feeling well? Can you take over and just drive your client somewhere? So there are so many things that you have to keep into account. I usually also mention that in my trainings. Like, be careful. I talk about culture, also the type of client. You know, what if your client has like an illness? Do you know everything about the medication? Do you know the home practitioner? You know, all those things that you really need to know before you start working with a person. Just, yeah.